Hello, how is everyone? I love that intro. Sorry, I hope everyone else loves it as much as I do. I'm Ness Jones, in case you're not aware, if you haven't been in my world before. And well, thank you for joining me. I have a heap of questions that have come through, so I'm going to start straight away and get digging into them. But if you do have any, if you're watching this, whether you're on YouTube or whether you're on Facebook, type them in the comments and I will try to get to them too. But we might be here for a while. So the first one, I literally am doing these in the order they came in. So, and then we'll just work through them. So Marion says, is it a bad idea to leave her 3-month-old Westie, so she's just got a little baby, alone in her crate for two to 3 hours? We can't take her along with us to a certain event. I'm sure she will cry and get all stressed out, but not sure what else to do. Marion, good question. So I guess it's hard for me to answer this. Your dog is just she's just a little baby. So obviously she is probably going to get distressed when you're not with her. So, I mean, have you done any kind of desensitization training with her already for her to get used to you not being around? In other words, really, really short absences where she does feel safe and where she does feel comfortable. And then you gradually build those up. I would say if you're already seeing a reaction, I don't know if you are, definitely get a camera on her so you can watch her with a live camera feed. But if you are already getting a reaction from her for that longer time, because it's quite a long time for a 12-week-old, then I would say that she's probably over threshold. And it's a nicer way to do it would be to do some gradual exposure to safe absences. And if you can't do that, rather than letting her get distressed, which can lead to escalation, any of my clients that have come to me and they've tried the let them bark it out method have found that it's actually caused more problems and has created more stress for the dog. So keep that in mind. I would be trying to find cover for your dog. Hello, Facebook user. I'm afraid I can't see what your name is because on StreamYard, it's very, very silly. It's really annoying, actually. Beverly, hello. If you've got a question, Beverly, just ask it and I'll get down to it. We've got a lot to get through today. So, Marion, yeah, that would be, I'd be trying to find someone to mind your dog. If it's only for 2 to 3 hours, you might be able to get a pet sitter or something. And then outside of that time, I would be looking to do some proper training where she feels safe and she's not. And then gradually build that up. So if you're leaving your puppy for maybe all she can cope with initially is 5 minutes, and then you gradually build that up. But so she's always feeling safe and secure and not worried, then you won't have an issue as she gets older. And I think that's really important. Katie is a pet sitter. One of my client's dogs cannot be left alone at all. He cries, barks the whole time and works himself up to the point he's shaking. Yeah, that is real distress when they get to that point. He's afraid of most things, lives in the city, and walking him feels like torture for him. Oh, that's really, really sad. He is not interested in food, so the normal treat stuff doesn't work for him. I don't use food with separation anxiety training. I don't find it helps the issue. But obviously, when you're out on a walk, it would be good if he was into treats. I've tried playing games with him inside to help his confidence, but he isn't interested in that either. Recently, I had him at my father's house, which is larger than his apartment. His owner has gone, so he was stuck with me. For the first time, I got him to play hide and seek. Sorry about the way StreamYard displays the comments. I know it's irritating. Where I've had him sit, stay, I'll leave the room and hide, call him to, and he has to come and find me. That's a good game to play. It worked great. I was amazed he'd play. He enjoyed it. And after he was calm, I was able to even go to the bathroom without him following me. I was so excited but worried it won't work when back in his own space, but I'll try. What other confidence games can I play with him, keeping in mind that treats don't work? Or do you have other ideas how to help boost his confidence? I've started saying, look at that in a happy voice when I see a trigger on a walk, and that does help. But I'd really love for him to be okay outside. He's afraid of buses, bikes, skateboards, any loud noises, but not other dogs. It's good that he's not worried about other dogs. That's something, isn't it? He lives in an apartment, so going for walks, even short ones, are necessary. Could he be under stimulated understimulated inside. So when he goes out, it's too much. What's the best way to handle this? Yeah, if he's got generalized anxiety, and it does sound like you are describing that, and I don't know how old this dog is either, but if he's got generalized anxiety, it could be worthwhile that his mum takes him to the vets and has a conversation about medication. So if what you're saying is he's scared of the world, he's living in toxic stress, chronic stress, and that's really, really bad for him. I am not one of these trainers that push meds on people. I really do not like the way, I don't want to get a dog on meds if it's not necessary. But a dog that is living in toxic stress, chronic stress, is really bad for them, basically. Same with us. If we're living in chronic stress, if we're living in fight flight all the time, it's really, really bad. So maybe ask her to talk to, I'm not a vet, obviously, so I'm not even recommending this, but I'm saying maybe she should talk to her vet and see if it's appropriate for her dog. I love the confidence games. Yeah, brilliant. I don't know if you joined my last summit. I've had some really amazing speakers, Katie, about dogs, for dogs that are reactive out on walks and how to deal with that. It's not my area of expertise is separation anxiety, but it's confidence stuff. I mean, get them up on things, get them on weird surfaces where they feel safe, though, obviously, so they're not freaking out. It's hard to say if this dog is freaked out about everything. And also, it's brilliant that you could play hide and seek and go to the bathroom and the dog's not following. But what happens if the owner tries it? Have you asked the owner or the mum, the caregiver, to try that and see what happens? Are you the only person that takes the dog out? Or so there's just so many questions. It's hard to answer. I don't know if you're on the stream. Let me have a quick squiz. No, okay. Yeah, it's hard to answer some of these questions without having the person there to talk to and ask the questions. Ask the questions that I need answering directly. He's afraid of buses, bikes, skateboards, any loud noises. Wow, he sounds like a candidate for medication. And then once you can get that even out. But yeah, I would be playing games. I know he's not food orientated, but certainly could, if he likes toys, maybe hide a favorite toy around the house or the apartment. And most dogs, he may not be food orientated, but have, maybe reduce the food. I don't know how big this dog is, but instead of feeding out of a bowl, the food is hidden around the house. Or, the dog has to tackle some sort of problem to get his brekkie or his dinner. So every dog or every animal has to eat to survive. So even dogs that aren't food orientated can be, you can work with them with food because they have to eat at some point. So I would be looking at things, so maybe stop feeding out of the bowl, and the dog has to work for everything that it gets nutrition wise. And then that will, because they're problem solving and they're challenged, that should help boost the confidence. And a dog that's feeling confident is going to be more optimistic, and so therefore it should flow on nicely to when the dog is out and about. But again, I think that this particular dog might be a candidate for meds, sadly. Darlene says, my dog follows me every inch I move. I can't even turn around without walking into him. So that's funny. When we leave the house, he gets into everything, chews things, and pees and poops on things. Okay. He doesn't even want to go to be outside alone. Yeah, he gets goofy when other animals are around, even our cat and other dogs. They need to be separated. He gets goofy when other animals are around, even our cat and other dog. It's very hard. When outside, he pees and poops on sandbox. Right. Flower pots and everything inside. Oh, okay. So coming back to the following in the house. Following never really bothers me. Dogs are social animals. They are social sleepers. They are social animals. They generally do follow. If I got up now, I'd have all the dogs looking at me going, oh, are you going to the kitchen? Are you going to take us out? Are you going out the back? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So really doesn't bother me if they're following in the house. It's totally natural. However, your dog sounds like if he's peeing and pooing when you walk out the door and chewing things, he does sound like he's very distressed. I'm just going to see what this new comment is. Where were we? Sorry. StreamYard is a really funny system to work with, so I have to slide up and down to see comments. Yeah, so a dog that is peeing and pooping when you walk out the door is really stressed. And you don't mention how old your dog is. Is he a puppy? Is he a young dog, an older dog, a senior dog? Information like that is always good to have. Do they get enough exercise? Is he getting enough enrichment? It's interesting that you say he doesn't want to go outside by himself. In saying that, like I've got 3 dogs, right? So one of them she likes to go and sunbathe outside by herself. But the other 2, if I come inside, they're like, oh, we're going to come with you. So again, not too worried, but the home alone time is a concern. Sounds to me like your dog needs some training around that. If it's that severe that he's peeing and pooping when he's left alone, he could be a candidate for medication as well, I'm afraid. That's extreme. Most caregivers see the most common reaction to being home alone is largely barking, crying, howling, whining, which is very unpleasant anyway, as you know. But when they start, the chewing things, distraction, all that sort of thing, not good either, obviously. So, I mean, some of that is obviously based in anxiety, fear. Sometimes it's based in just a young dog that's bored. We have to look at the big picture. But for me, unless it's a puppy or a senior dog that's got some issues, health issues, a dog that pees and poops in the house, I would say, is very distressed. And I would be looking at doing some training around that, Darlene. So, yeah, because it's every time you leave your dog alone and it has that severe reaction, it just instills in it that it's going to get worse. So next time you walk out the door, they think, well, I hated that time you went out last time. So you can see escalation of behavior, and you can see the behavior getting more frantic. And it can start earlier as well. So I'd be looking at trying to do some training around that. Michelle says she's just brought a sweet girl home that's having a tough time when we have to go to work. Michelle, you don't say how old your dog is. That's fine, but is it a young dog, a rescue dog? Rescues often struggle because maybe they've been abandoned in the past, or so I'm not sure what the situation is there without having that information. But again, so if you could try and manage your absences, find someone to look after your dog while you're at work, then outside of that time, you can start doing some training and gradually build up that home alone time. If she's struggling already, probably means she's going over threshold, and therefore she's going to, it could, I'm not saying it will, but it could escalate. But she's not really learning anything. So just to explain, like, this is the easiest way to explain it. I call the threshold like a line in the sand. So above the line, you've got the panic, you've got barking, howling, crying, whining, destroying things, trying to escape, maybe distress before you leave, peeing and pooping in the house. So that's your panic line, and above the line is the panic line. And obviously we want our dogs to be here underneath the panic line. But if she's having a tough time, the training we do is under the panic line. It's all in, so the dog learns that when you walk out the door, it's okay. It's okay to be home alone, and it's not really scary. If they're going over the panic line, over threshold, then that's not great. And they're not learning anything. So they're not, can you imagine if you're really, really scared, really, really upset, and someone tries to teach you an algebra problem? I don't know. I'm trying to think of an easy way of explaining it. You because you're so scared, you're not thinking, you're not processing. So your dog's not learning anything. So what we try to do is try to manage the absences, find cover for your dog while you're away. And then when you are there, you start doing the training and you gradually build up that home alone time. So the dog learns that actually when you walk out the door, there's no reason to panic. I feel safe. I'm okay with this. And we build up that time and make it bigger and bigger and bigger. Cindy says, I have one dog that will start barking in the crate in the middle of the night. I'm not sure if he just doesn't want to be in the crate or if it is actually separation anxiety. Oh, sorry, hang on. He goes in the crate without a problem and sleeps for a few hours till about 2 a.m. Only does this about once a week. He is a rescue and probably not introduced to the crate properly as a puppy. He will sleep without a problem. He just wakes up in the middle of the night, and this is not every night, right? And I think that's an important point. Maybe once a week. How do I tell if it's separation anxiety or I want out of the crate? I would suggest it's probably not separation anxiety. Because if it was every single night, I would say that's, you're looking at something different. If it's just once every so often, I would be wondering whether some noise has triggered him outside. That's made him wake up and start reacting that way, or maybe he needs to go to the toilet. I mean, I did read the comments on your post about how you do take him out, as late as possible in the evening. But sometimes, dogs eat something that make them feel a bit icky. I've got 3 dogs. The boy, thank goodness, hasn't ever had, maybe once or twice had to go out during the night. The mum rarely does. The daughter, she's just one of those dogs. She can sleep through the night fine, but sometimes she just needs to go out. My dogs aren't crated at night. The only time they're in a crate actually is if I'm in a vehicle. So they're loose in the house. But if she was in a crate, probably the way she would tell me would be to bark. What she does, she's kind of cute actually. She'll start wandering around the house, and then she'll kind of circle back into the bedroom, and then she'll wander around the house and she'll circle back in. And you can just tell by the way she won't settle that she needs to go out. So I would suggest that either your dog, and look, it's not every night, same as you. So every now and then she just has these times where she needs to go because maybe I've fed her more or fed her something different, or whatever it is. But yeah, it's not separation. It's not separation anxiety because she's not in a crate. But I would suggest, Cindy, that your dog either needs to go out or something. He's heard some noise outside that's triggered him, that he needs to go out, that he wants to go out, or he started to bark. I guess what would be interesting to know is if you take him out in the middle of the night, does he go to the toilet? Alrighty. Okay, Barbara. Okay, Barbara says, we have worked up to 50 minutes. Well done. With going out the back door and around the house, starting car engine, that's really good. And putting the car back. He looks out the window for 2 seconds and puts his head down and goes to sleep. Excellent. I've been doing training when he is super chilled. Yes, brilliant. Should I be working on a duration when he is not as chilled? Mornings he will follow to the door. Afternoons, he just hangs out on the couch. Yes, so Barbara, this is how I would approach it. You've got your long duration. It's about 50 minutes. I would keep trying to build up on that long duration. Brilliant, well done on getting to 50 minutes. And I will continue to do that time at the time that he is the most relaxed and super chilled, and then just keep building. And I think it's really, really well done. The fact that you can drive the car out. I'm assuming that you're actually driving away, so he can't see that anymore. When you introduce another training scenario, maybe when he's a little bit more active, his mindset is more active, I would start back at the beginning. So I would have kind of 2 training plans running, your nice long duration when he's super chilled, and the other one where he's maybe not going to settle as much. So therefore I would maybe, I don't know what time you started on originally, but I would go back to maybe 1 minute or 30 seconds or whatever it is, and then gradually build that up. So you've got the active plan and you've got your nice super chilled plan, and keep working on those two separately. And then anytime you add a new training scenario, so maybe it's an extra person or time of day or the weekend, whatever it is, drop the time right back. And my dog's barking. I'm terribly sorry. Yeah, and then just build up on that time. And then eventually you should be able to marry the two together, marry the plans together. Yana, I'm assuming it's Yana. My 5-year-old Jack Russell has most of the symptoms of separation anxiety, so I know he has it, no doubt. The back door has paint and wood torn off due to clawing. Yeah, it's no good. So that said, very simply, what can I do about it? I got him when he was 20 months old. It's always been there. Don't know if it's partly his breed, could be. 20 months living with the breeder or what? Okay. So yeah, it's a big change. I've had clients before that have the dogs lived with a breeder for quite some time, and then they've gone into a home that's completely separate. Their world's been flipped upside down, basically, and just been unsettled, not really able to cope, etc., etc. So you have to teach them to be by themselves. I would suggest that, well, being a Jack Russell, of course, they do need they're working dogs, they do need all their needs met in terms of exercise, enrichment, etc., etc. So make sure he's tapping into his genetic drives, whatever you can find in your area that will do that, suitable for a Jack Russell. There's bound to be plenty of stuff wherever you are. So make sure he's getting plenty of that. And then just start small, like try not to leave him alone, try to find cover for him when you go out initially, and then outside of that, do some training around home alone time. What would be interesting is to know how long after you leave you see a reaction. So do you have a camera watching him? Do you have a live camera feed? That's really, really important. And guys, this doesn't have to be expensive. It's really essential when you're trying to get your dog to recover from separation anxiety to get a camera feed with a camera watching your dog, so you know exactly what's happening when you walk out the door. Live camera feed, so you can come back in if your dog starts panicking. And that does not have to be expensive. You don't have to rush out and get a camera. You can use a Zoom call. You could use a Facebook Live. Just make sure you set it to only me. There's Skype. There's FaceTime. As long as you've got 2 devices, you can do it without cost. So, yeah, we need to know what the dog is doing when you walk out that door. And also, because if you know that your dog is going to panic at a certain point, so let's say you're watching your dog and you know at 5 minutes your dog is going to start to panic. So we don't want your dog to panic. We don't want your dog to go over threshold, obviously, because that can lead, as I said, to escalation, and the behavior can start earlier and earlier, and we don't want that. So if you know your dog is going to panic at 5 minutes, you walk out the door, you're watching it, and then you come back in at, 4 minutes. So the dog is learning about having a safe absence. It's not learning to freak out. One of the big things that I find is people trying to resolve this on their own is they wait till they see the reaction before they come back in. So maybe they think their dog is okay for 5 minutes. Maybe the dog is okay at 5 minutes. And then they think, well, we got to 5 minutes. What's the next time? But they wait until the dog starts reacting, maybe barking, crying, howling, digging at the carpet, whatever it is. And then they come back in. Well, once the dog is at that point, there's that line in the sand, that threshold line, that panic line. So we want to come back in before that happens. And that means you have to have a live camera feed. And then it's just doing the training and keeping the dog under the threshold the whole time. Can't do that without the live camera feed, though. Mary has 2 miniature schnauzers. Oh, I love schnauzers, little beady faces. One of them is nearly 13, and it is thought by the vets that he has cancer on his spleen and on his pancreas. I'm very, very sorry. He has previously had a stroke from which he seems to have made a good recovery, but we are not proposing that he has an operation regarding the cancer. Yeah, it's a big thing to do that to a dog. He plods along quite nicely, happily having a short walk each day. Our other dog is a rescue and very reactive when outside the house and towards visitors. They both accept that we go out sometimes. The longest is 3 hours and really that long, but I'm concerned after the passing of the older dog how the 3-year-old will cope when we go out and leave him. Can you suggest any preparation we can be doing to help with this? We are not very close, but I wonder if the older dog just helps to make the younger one, they are not very close, sorry, make the younger one feel more secure. Yeah, we don't know. He possibly could be. I love this question because guess what? Next week, the next podcast episode is what to do if your dog's best fur buddy passes. So it is literally tackling this issue. So if you've got, and it may be a cat that passes, it may be another animal that passes, doesn't have to be a dog, but what to do if a dog passes and the other dog suddenly isn't coping. So rather than me go into that now, you'd be much better off to watch that episode so you can see it on my Facebook. Sorry, not Facebook. Sorry. You'll be able to see it on my YouTube channel, which is at Ness Jones. So just put youtube.com/ at Ness Jones. Or if you like podcasts, you can listen to it on all good listening apps. So yeah, do that because that will help you. Okay, Thea says, I have a 3-year-old Cocker Spaniel who has quite a nervous disposition generally, but also has hyper-attachment issues. She was bought to me. She was bought to keep me company as I'm housebound and mostly laid up. Sorry to hear that. That's no good. So I'm really out, except for hospital visits. She even wants to come to the bathroom with me, and if I let her, she's up on my lap, which is interesting. I try to give her short periods of time without me and use a Kong, which helps to distract. My main worry is when I have to go to hospital for several days, which happens quite. She will fall apart, even when my parents look after her. Thea, so dogs that have hyperattachment, I mean, look, it sounds like she's you basically say she's hyperattached to you. So, and if she's got a nervous disposition, it might be worthwhile talking to a vet about medication because, again, as I mentioned earlier, it's that living in the fight, flight constantly is really, really unpleasant and it's chronic stress. But when you have to, and I'm really sorry about your health issues as well, so it's no good. So when you have to leave her with your parents, because of her nervous disposition, it sounds like she's not going to cope very well. So hyperattachment is where the dog is. So it's a harder fix than separation anxiety in the sense that it's one person that they want to be with as opposed to they just want somebody with them. So it's a little bit different. The way we tackle that is to get the dog to bond with other people, not just you. So my suggestion would be I don't know how old your parents are, sorry, but can they do more in her life so she bonds with them better? I know you probably, I don't know if you live with them or not. Okay, I'm not sure if you live with them or not, but if you do live with them, then obviously maybe they could get more involved in your dog's life. If you don't, then I don't know, if you can get them to do more stuff with her, have more fun with her, take her for more walks, treat her, train her, do other stuff. And also, can you get your dog to maybe, don't know if you said if she's okay with other dogs, maybe she can spend a day in doggy daycare here and there just to get her out away from you and having fun in different situations. So anything like that, even if you get like a dog walk around once every so often to take her out and have some fun, just so she learns to bond with other people and not rely solely on you. That's the best way to tackle hyper attachment. So what that looks like in your situation, obviously for everybody, it's going to depend. It's going to be different. So often it can be a couple, and because mum's the primary caregiver, the dog bonds with the mum, and when mum leaves, dad is not able to distract the dog or help the dog cope. So we have to build up the dog's bond with dad and get dad more involved in his life or the dog's life. But what it looks like for you in your situation, you'll have to try and troubleshoot that. Okay. Melanie says, I finally trained my dog to be alone for up to 4 hours. Well done, Monday to Friday. Excellent. Now my husband works from home and we are back to square one. Someone is always home. How can we start so we can handle an emergency of being alone while we do things as a couple? So this is very much what happened in COVID lockdown. People were at home. People are working from home. And then at some point, life changes. Life returns to normal. And guess what? Dogs can't cope. Even dogs that were previously fine, so not all of them, but some of them just couldn't cope when mum and dad went back to work, the kids went back to school, etc., etc. So for you, look, you've trained your dog to be alone for 4 hours already. So I think the most important thing is to still give your dog home alone time, so that if there is an emergency, you don't have to, you're not going to be freaking out, wondering whether they're going to cope or not. So when that happens, I don't know, maybe you can get hubby to do some absences while I know he's working from home, but surely he can have a break, a couple of breaks and pop outside or do something like that. But yeah, I would definitely be making sure that your dog gets some sort of home alone time in a safe way and watching on a live camera feed just in case. But yes, continue doing what you are doing. Make sure you get hubby to, or do some work on the weekends with the dog so that the dog has home alone time. But don't let it go, because you could be setting your dog up for over threshold moments and panic attacks, etc. If, and God forbid there is an emergency, but if there is, life happens, we understand that. So keep giving your dog home alone time. Karen says she has a Beagle Cross Jack Russell, 3 years old, and we've had her since she was 6 months. She's a rescue. Okay, so you've had her for 2.5 years, and believe her previous owners did not like the garden digging. Well, she has got Jack Russell, I want to say. Thankfully, she's past all that puppy stage. However, she cannot handle being left alone. She howls, barks, and cries the entire time that we are away. We have attempted leaving her for about... Oh, okay. I don't know what's happened to the rest of that. It's got cut off for some reason. Okay, I'm just going to have a sip of water. Sorry. So, yeah, obviously she's got working dog breed in her. Beagle and Jack Russell. So make sure she's getting plenty of exercise and plenty of enrichment and all that sort of stuff. We have attempted leaving her for about, I don't know where the rest of that is. Give me a sec, guys. I'll see if I can find where that, if I can find the rest of the sentence. Probably not. Oh, I found it. All right, wait there. I didn't realize. Okay. All right. Bear with me, guys. Sorry. We attempted leaving her for about 15 minutes and increasing the time. However, find it difficult with 4 members of the family and no consistency. The other issue is if anyone visits, she gets hyperactive and very excited, barking for their attention. I started making her go to bed and she listens some of the times. She's friendly with other dogs and loves people. However, if they ignore her, she lets them know. She lets them know by barking. You will pay me attention. Okay, so you can leave her alone for... It's really hard when you've got a big house and people coming and going. I would be trying to I don't know what the members of your household are, but I'm just going to assume it's a standard family. Let's say you've got 4 people there, 2 of them go out, or maybe, and then maybe 2 of them are out doing whatever. I would just start really slow, and then maybe get the third one, say, look, can you go while I do some training? And just start doing some training. When you say you got up to 15 minutes, I mean, obviously I don't know what that looks like. Was she still panicking? Were you watching on a live camera feed? Hard to know from here. I know you say you've attempted to leave her with food. I don't actually use food in training. I don't find it helps. What can happen is that food can be a pre-departure cue, and it can actually signal to the dog that they're about to have a scary absence. Otherwise, some dogs might gobble up the food and then they'll panic anyway, or some dogs won't even eat the food. And since you say you've attempted to leave her with food, you've tried food, I'm going to gather that it probably didn't work. Yeah. So it's hard when you've got lots of people coming and going, as I said, but I would be trying to find a time that you can do some training with her. If she really is truly okay up to 15 minutes, then you can gradually build that time. But don't forget, watch on a live camera feed and keep her under that threshold. Don't wait to see the reaction before you return. Come in under that. Come in before she starts reacting, and then you gradually build that time up. It's difficult to find time, difficult for 4 members. I wouldn't, even if you were starting training, I certainly wouldn't want 4 people to be leaving her. I would stagger those departures, and then maybe even just start with 1 person. So you don't want 4 people to go, right, we're leaving. So maybe if 2 people are gone, then get the 3rd person to go, and then 1 person does the training. You can look at doing the whole, adding people in down the track. But initially I would start with 1 person. Just make it as easy as possible for your dog. When we do this training, especially when we're building foundations, we always set the dog up for success. We always want the dog to succeed. And because we always want to keep them under threshold, but by setting them up for success, I mean, they've had adequate exercise, they've had adequate enrichment, they're not hungry, they don't need to toilet, they're ready to rest, and then we make it as easy for them as possible, whatever that looks like. So that could be, when they've had all that, they're nice and rested, and then using maybe 1 person initially to do the training. But yeah, tough to do that when you've got a house full of people. You just have to say, right, I need to do this training, you need to go. And say, get out. Hi, Bruce. Eep, you're live. I am. I found you by accident, and I'm happy at that. Oh, that's very nice. Cheryl. Hi, Cheryl. I have a poodle in training, destroyed rooms of carpet. Ooh. Got out of the crate, squeezing her body through the hinge side. Yes. Try putting food puzzles in crates, stretches so her hind legs are out. Oh, okay. I just want to say thank you so much for being so generous with your time and knowledge. Oh, thank you. I've had my dog for about 1.5 years, and we guess she's 10. Oh, hang on, this is someone else. Wait there. I'll answer Cheryl first. Sorry, I got confused. Cheryl, crates. Most dogs, and this is a generalization, but most dogs do better outside of the crate when they've got a little bit more room. They seem to be able to cope better. Now, I do understand that she's destroyed rooms of carpet, so I understand why you want to put her in the crate, to protect your home and protect her and all that. Unfortunately, it sounds like she's maybe not as protected as you would want because she's squishing out of the crate and all that. Yes, you can buy a high-impact crate so they can't get out. I'm not a fan of that idea because your dog isn't learning to feel safe when they're by themselves. So yes, they can't get out, they can't destroy your home, they can't hurt themselves. However, what are they learning? They're still panicked. And that's not what we really want for our dogs, is that we want our dogs to just feel good about being by themselves. Don't forget, dogs are social animals. They naturally want to be with you or another dog or whatever it is. They are social animals. So we've always got to remember that. And I just, it's normal for them to want to be with us. And unfortunately, they do seem to do better outside of a crate. Generalization. Try and put food puzzles in there. Yeah, again, I mentioned food already. Don't find that food is very effective if the dog's really, really stressed. So for you, I would definitely try leaving your dog out of the crate. However, we don't want her to rip up your carpet and panic to destroy your house. So what we need to do is, when you're not with her, hopefully find someone to mind your dog, and then start training in small increments. Again, keeping your dog under threshold and not letting them panic, and then gradually building that time up. Cheryl, have you? I think you are on. Maybe if you've got any questions. Oh, your dog's a year. Your dog's a year. That's good information, actually. Thank you, Cheryl. She's only a baby too, so she's just a teenager. So maybe she's not panicked so much as she's a bit bored. She's a poodle. They're working dogs. Is she getting enough exercise and enrichment? If you're watching your dog on a live camera feed, and look, I get why you want to crate her at that age, because, young dogs and working dogs, people, I don't know, I'm sure you know, but, people can often forget that poodles are working dogs. So they need that active stuff. They need exercise, voluntary. If anybody watched last week's episode, or Tales from the Doghouse episode, we interviewed a lady called Christina Sporting, Dr. Christina Sporting. And it's all about stress and dogs. And one of the things she mentions to help set the dog up for success is voluntary exercise. Unfortunately, there's not enough robust studies into stress in dogs. So we don't really know about how well exercise that is kind of forced. That's not probably the right word, but if you were running with your dog, I guess in a sense that's forced exercise. They do say that voluntary exercise, so where the dog decides how much it gets, is really, really good for them mentally. So yeah, you can go back and watch that again. My YouTube channel is, I'll just write it here, youtube.com/@Ness Jones. That's my YouTube channel, but on there you'll actually find, under the playlists, you'll actually find you'll actually find the Tales from the Doghouse, or just go to listening apps and look up Tales from the Doghouse, Separation Anxiety Explained, and you will find that episode from last week, Dr. Christina Sporting, or just jump on my website, nessjones.com. It's on there. It's really worthwhile listening to, just so you get an idea of how stress is impacting your dog and what you can do about it. So, but Cheryl, sorry, I would suggest that you get a camera on your dog, make sure she's getting plenty of exercise and enrichment, and then try leaving her out. She's 1 now, so she is growing up. You might find as she grows up that she is better able to cope with home alone time, gains more confidence. Is she a kind of a nervous dog, or is she quite a confident dog? Maybe you could answer that since you are here. And watch on that live camera feed. Make sure you watch, and then obviously, as I said earlier, keep your dog under threshold and get her used to being by herself. In the interim, when you can't not leave her, I'll be trying to find some cover for her, whether that's doggy daycare, pet sitter, family and friends, etc., etc. Yeah, and just see how that goes for you. Are you still there, Cheryl? If you want to maybe comment, I'm happy to talk. RT, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for that comment, RT. Thank you for, thank you. I've had a dog for about 1.5 years, and we guess she's 10ish now. Okay, so she's a older rescue. Thank you for rescuing. When she came to me, she was so shut down and in such a frenzy when left, but little by little, starting with 30 seconds, she and I have made such progress that she can be left alone for hours. Well done. Well done. It's taken a long time installing a camera, listening to you, and a lot of patience, and I've made a lot of mistakes. For every moment has been worth it. Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, that gives me little goosebumps. That is so good. Yeah, it's if you put the work in, like you have, and you do it mindfully. And I mean, you know, we all make mistakes as well, so don't beat yourself up about that. But it's normal to make mistakes. And sounds like, as you say, the journey is worthwhile. And look where you are now. How good is that? It's so nice to hear stuff like that. I really appreciate you writing that. Yeah. Okay. That's it. We're finished. That's the end of the questions. I've been talking for 45 minutes. I'm happy to answer anything else if people want to quickly get in there. But yeah, I really suggest getting on to the Tales from the Doghouse podcast from last week and listen to Dr. Christina Sporting. I've actually put the link into the Facebook group too, if anybody wants to click on that and listen to that. I think it's really worthwhile. Next week, as I said, we're talking about if you've got a dog whose fur buddy has passed, yeah, how to address that, because that's a tough one, because you're going through a grieving process, they're going through a grieving process, and it can be quite I got quite emotional with that. We actually recorded it yesterday because I am away next week, and yeah, I got a little bit emotional talking about it because we're talking about the loss of a dog, and it's always tough, isn't it? So yeah, but yeah, I have, if anybody wants to book a 30-minute Zoom call with me to learn about how I can help them on my programs, you can find the link at nessjones.com. I am going away for a week. Hooray! A little bit of a break for me. Taking one of my dogs, only one, and going on a little road trip with her just to get away. So I have Monday available for appointments, but then you won't be able to book into my calendar for quite some time, for just a week or so, about 8 days. So, all right, Cheryl, I hope I answered your question. I think given that your dog is young, that's like brilliant for you. You've got plenty of time to work on this, and just start doing some training, safe absences. I guess the take-home message from today would be camera with a live camera feed, so you can watch what your dog is doing. Don't wait till you see a reaction before you return. Come back in before you see the reaction, and then gradually build up that time. Dogs usually do better outside of the crates. Generalization, of course. But yeah, just start training. Help your dog learn to be by themselves. Yeah. And thank you for joining me. See you.